The council chamber was a vast, sleek hall, filled with alien dignitaries representing the dominant species of the galaxy. The galaxy had flourished without humans, once a race whispered about in dark tales of their ruthless ingenuity and brutal violence. But those stories were old now, dismissed as myths, passed down from an era long forgotten. The humans? They were nothing more than a fleeting nightmare, one alien elder scoffed, his voice echoing in the chamber. Their extinction was inevitable, and rightly so. A weak species, primitive. There was laughter across the hall. The human empire, once a minor thorn, was long since erased, or so they believed. No one had encountered them in centuries. As the debate continued, a report surfaced, projected in the air above the council's table. A remote planet, uncharted for millennia, has been identified. Preliminary scans suggest it may contain remnants of a lost human colony. The speaker announced with a tone of mild interest. The council barely reacted. Historical interest? Nothing more. Another elder waved it off. Send a task force if you must. Perhaps we'll gather something useful for the archives. The idea of humans still being alive or even dangerous was laughable. With a quick dismissal, a small group of elite soldiers was commissioned to explore the forgotten colony. It was a mission so routine they didn't even bother with additional precautions. The task force assembled in the sleek docking bay, preparing for departure. Their leader, General Urok, was a seasoned veteran, calm but curious. He had heard the stories, the old legends that painted humans as predators, but even he was skeptical. Humans, he muttered, looking over the holographic maps of the colony. It's nothing but a ghost story now. His second-in-command, a sharp-witted tactician named Veril, shrugged. Ancient tech, decayed cities, maybe some scraps for our historians. This will be over quickly. Urok nodded, his eyes still on the map. Primitive, extinct, they've had their time. We'll confirm their disappearance and report back. His confidence matched the others. The mission was simple: investigate, record, and return. Easy work for an elite team equipped with the most advanced war tech the galaxy had ever seen. The ship descended into the planet's atmosphere, breaking through thick clouds to reveal the ruined landscape below. It was a wasteland of shattered towers and crumbling infrastructure, the remnants of a once great civilization now covered in dust and decay. Their scanners detected no signs of life, just the hollow echoes of an extinct species. Urok and his team disembarked, their heavy boots crunching against the cracked ground. The ancient city loomed before them, its once grand buildings now broken husks. They moved cautiously, though their weapons remained lowered. Primitive ruins, Veril muttered, scanning the area. Nothing here but ghosts. As they ventured deeper, there were signs that something wasn't quite right. Some of the old war tech still hummed with faint energy, operational but ancient. The architecture, while crumbling, still had defenses that hadn't entirely died. Some of this tech is still active, one of the soldiers noted, running a scanner over a panel. Strange, how could it last this long? Urok waved it off. Old automated systems, no threat. But as they continued, shadows seemed to dance in the distance. Strange flickers of movement in the ruins, too quick to be an artifact of their scans. The team stopped, exchanging glances, but no one voiced any real concern. Humans had been extinct for centuries. This planet was abandoned, or so they believed. We'll sweep the area, collect what we need, Urok said. Then we're out of here. But something was watching them. High above, hidden among the ruins, human eyes tracked every movement of the alien task force. Silent and unseen, a human scouting party was observing the invaders, their senses sharp, their patience unending. Urok's team moved deeper into the city, unaware that they had already entered the territory of a species that had not vanished but evolved. They were not the prey the galaxy had once known. No, they were predators now, and they were preparing their first strike. The alien task force moved further into the heart of the ruined colony, confident in their superiority. Their scanners swept the area, gathering data, but they found nothing but dust and forgotten tech. The soldiers exchanged idle conversation, their focus slipping as they grew comfortable in the absence of any visible threat. Their confidence blinded them to the danger lurking in every shadow. Then, without warning, it came. A flash of movement. A metallic hiss. The humans struck fast and brutally, emerging from the ruins like phantoms. In seconds, the alien force was in chaos. Soldiers fell before they even had time to react, their advanced armor and shields offering little protection against the precise strikes. Weapons that seemed primitive at first glance were deadly in the hands of the human warriors. It wasn't just the tech, it was the way they moved. The humans attacked with a terrifying coordination, each strike timed perfectly, each shot aimed with lethal accuracy. They knew their enemy's weaknesses. As the aliens fumbled to regroup, the humans disappeared back into the shadows as quickly as they had come, leaving behind nothing but bodies and confusion. "Where are they?" shouted one of the alien soldiers, panicked as he scanned the empty ruins. Their tech, built to detect any life form, picked up nothing. It was as if the humans were ghosts, hunting them with precision. The aliens, so used to overwhelming their enemies with superior technology, were completely unprepared for the ruthless guerrilla tactics now being used against them. Yurok barked orders, trying to regain control of the situation, but it was clear that they had underestimated the threat. His old ears were elite, trained in hundreds of battlefields across the galaxy, but they were not ready for this. The humans were using the environment to their advantage, moving with unnatural stealth, their biologically enhanced bodies blending into the ruins like predators born of the very earth they fought on. "They're hunting us," Varel muttered, his voice laced with a fear he could no longer suppress. Yurok ordered a retaliation, but how could they strike back when they couldn't even see their enemy? His soldiers fired blindly into the shadows, but the humans were always one step ahead, always just out of reach. The aliens were used to being the hunters, but here, on this forgotten world, they had become the prey. The panic spread quickly. Soldiers who had once laughed at the thought of facing humans were now desperate, their arrogance crumbling in the face of this unseen terror. The humans attacked with ruthless efficiency, disappearing before the aliens could regroup, only to strike again moments later from a different angle. "They're toying with us," Varel whispered as another soldier fell beside him, taken down by a weapon they still couldn't understand. Yurok refused to retreat. He gave orders to push forward to find and eliminate the threat. But even he knew, deep down, that they were already being outmatched. Their superior technology was useless if it couldn't track the enemy. These humans weren't the primitive beings they had expected. They were something far worse. Something evolved. The chaos of the ambush ended as suddenly as it had begun. Silence fell over the ruins once again. Yurok's forces were in disarray, their numbers reduced, their morale shattered. And then, they saw him. One of the alien soldiers had been captured, dragged into the open by a group of humans who now stood at the edge of the clearing. The leader, unmistakably human but different from the frail beings the aliens had imagined, stepped forward. He was taller, stronger, and his eyes gleamed with an intelligence that sent a chill down Yurok's spine. "You think we're extinct," the human leader spoke, his voice calm but deadly. "You think we're weak, forgotten, but we remember. We remember everything." The alien soldier struggled, but the human's grip was unyielding. The leader gestured to the ruins around them. "This place, this is our history. But we have evolved beyond it. You came here thinking you would find remnants of a broken species. Instead, you found the apex predators of this galaxy." Yurok clenched his fists, but there was no denying the truth before him. These humans were nothing like the myths he had been told. They were faster, stronger, smarter, and they knew how to turn their enemies' arrogance against them. "We used your stories, your belief in our extinction, to our advantage." The human leader continued, his eyes locking onto Yurok. "We've been waiting, watching, and now that you've come, we'll send a message to the rest of the galaxy." Yurok opened his mouth to speak, but the words failed him. This was no longer a mission of exploration. It was a hunt, and they had walked straight into the jaws of the predator. The humans had been preparing for this moment for centuries, and now they would send the galaxy a reminder of what they had once feared. The human leader turned away, his forces retreating into the shadows, leaving the alien survivors to their fate. The first strike had been delivered. The message was clear. And it was only the beginning. The remaining alien soldiers scrambled through the dense wilderness, desperate to regroup after the devastating ambush. Their sophisticated technology, once a point of pride, was now failing them. Scanners that should have detected life signatures remained stubbornly blank, as if the humans had disappeared into the very air. Panic set in among the survivors, their disciplined ranks dissolving into scattered units, each group trying to make sense of what had happened. But the humans weren't gone. They were everywhere. From the moment the task force entered the wilderness, the hunt had already begun. Silent and unseen, the humans moved through the terrain with a mastery that bordered on supernatural. They set traps, some mechanical, others psychological, turning the environment itself into a weapon. Alien soldiers found themselves isolated, picked off one by one. Fear spread like wildfire as every step the survivors took felt like a step closer to their doom. The humans toyed with them, using the ruins and natural terrain as their playground. An alien soldier would hear a whisper, a shadow flicker just out of reach, and then nothing. Until the moment came, and it was too late. Their strategy was ruthless, their precision unnerving. The alien survivors, once proud soldiers of a galactic empire, were reduced to prey, running blind through a deadly game they had no hope of winning. General Urok had lost all semblance of control. His mind raced as he tried to form a plan, but the humans had anticipated every move. Each attempt to reorganize the scattered remnants of his task force was met with silence, disrupted communications, or worse, another set of bodies left in the humans' wake. His tactical genius, which had won him dozens of campaigns, now felt useless against an enemy that defied every conventional strategy. He barked orders, desperately trying to rally his remaining troops, but no plan survived the first encounter. Every route they tried to escape was blocked. Every move countered. It was as though the humans could read their minds, as though they knew Urok's strategies before he did. He could feel the weight of the Alien Council's arrogance pressing down on him. This was supposed to be a simple expedition, an investigation into a forgotten species, nothing more. Now, that arrogance had cost them everything. The legends they had once mocked were all true. The humans weren't just survivors. They had become something far more dangerous. Urok could no longer deny it. They were facing the ultimate predator, and their own technological superiority had been rendered meaningless. Every piece of equipment, every advanced weapon was useless if they couldn't even see their enemy. His mind flashed back to the council chamber, to the laughter and dismissive tones when the mission was first discussed. How foolish they had been. The thought stung him now, bitter in the face of the brutal reality they had walked into. What was once considered a routine task had spiraled into a fight for survival, and it was a fight they were losing. Urok gathered what was left of his forces for a final stand. They found a defensible position, a clearing with high ground, their backs to a cliff face. Here, they believed they could outlast the humans. Their advanced weapons were deployed, shields raised, and the survivors huddled together, trying to hold on to what little remained of their discipline. The tension was unbearable. Every sound, every shift in the air had the aliens on edge. They waited, weapons ready, expecting an all-out assault. The humans, however, didn't rush in. They didn't need to. They watched, patient as ever, biding their time. And then the humans struck. It was not the wild charge the aliens had anticipated, but a precise, methodical dismantling of their defenses. The alien shields faltered under relentless pressure. Advanced weaponry met with ancient tech, repurposed in ways the aliens had never seen before. Human soldiers, enhanced in ways the aliens couldn't comprehend, moved faster and struck harder than their foes ever could. They attacked from multiple angles, outflanking the alien forces effortlessly. In the midst of the chaos, Urok found himself face to face with the human leader. The alien general, though battle-hardened, felt the weight of defeat even before the first blow was struck. The human leader's expression was calm, calculating, as if he had already decided the outcome long before the battle began. "This isn't about survival," the human leader said, his voice cold and final. "It's about reclaiming what is ours." Urok's soldiers fought valiantly, but it was clear they were no match. Every defense the aliens threw up crumbled under the relentless pressure of the human assault. The humans didn't just fight to win, they fought with the singular purpose of asserting their dominance, of showing the galaxy what they had become. Urok realized then that this was more than just a skirmish. It was a declaration, A species that had been forgotten, dismissed as weak and extinct, had returned, stronger and more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. The aliens had walked into a trap of their own making, and now there was no escape. As the last of Yurok's forces fell, the human leader stood over the battlefield, victorious. This wasn't just a victory for humanity, it was a message to the galaxy. The ultimate predators had risen once again, and they would not be forgotten this time. The hunt had only just begun. The battlefield was eerily quiet in the aftermath. Bodies of alien soldiers littered the ground, their advanced armor and weapons useless against the relentless assault of the humans. Only a few battered survivors remained, fleeing into the wilderness with haunted expressions, their pride shattered. The human leader watched them go, allowing them to escape, not out of mercy, but for a purpose. They would carry the story of this defeat back to their people, spreading the word of what had transpired on this forgotten world. The humans stood victorious, their breathing steady despite the battle that had just ended. The leader surveyed his troops, his voice calm yet filled with an underlying ferocity. "This is only the beginning," he said, his words resonating through the air. "The galaxy has forgotten who we are. But soon, it will remember. And it will fear us once more." Around him, the soldiers stood with quiet resolve. They had evolved far beyond their ancestors, and now they were more than survivors. They were hunters, predators who had reclaimed their place in the natural order of the universe. Their leader's gaze drifted to the sky, where the stars glittered, each one a potential target. He knew that this victory was a message, but the real war had yet to begin. The humans seized the alien task force's technology, working swiftly and efficiently to tap into the alien communication networks. Soon, they were connected to the galaxy's interstellar grid. A cold, calculated message was prepared. No lengthy speech was necessary, just a simple, undeniable declaration. Humanity has returned, and the hunt has just begun. The message was broadcast across every major communication channel in the galaxy, reaching the farthest corners of alien space. It was delivered in the cold, monotone voice of a human AI, the kind that only a few had ever heard. Entire worlds paused as the signal cut through their broadcasts. In vast cities, towering space stations, and across the far reaches of alien colonies, the message echoed, and then silence. At first, some species dismissed it as a rogue transmission, a piece of elaborate propaganda. But the more learned ones, those with access to the ancient records of humanity's brutality, felt a growing sense of unease. The stories they had dismissed as legends suddenly carried weight. Could it be true? Could humanity really have survived and evolved into something more deadly than before? Among the most powerful empires, panic began to spread. The ruling elites, who had not feared war in generations, quickly gathered in council chambers and war rooms, their faces drawn tight with anxiety. The galaxy's history books spoke of humanity as dangerous, yes, but ultimately defeated and extinct. Now those assurances were unraveling. Across distant planets, military forces began mobilizing. Defensive measures, dormant for centuries, were activated. Weapons of unimaginable power, thought unnecessary after centuries of peace, were being primed for deployment. Fear settled in among the ruling classes, and they scrambled to prepare for an enemy they had long forgotten. Some tried to rally their people with promises of safety, while others feared that humanity's return meant something far worse than they had ever imagined. But for all their efforts, the galaxy knew one thing for certain: something they had believed impossible had occurred. The humans had survived. They had changed, and now they were declaring war on everyone who had once ruled in their absence. On the surface of the forgotten planet, the human leader stood among his warriors, watching the final moments of the broadcast through a captured alien screen. He saw the fear in the alien eyes on the other side of the galaxy's reaction. He smiled, a grim, predatory expression that revealed a deep satisfaction. The hunt had begun, and the prey was stirring. One of his lieutenants approached, saluting. "They're preparing for war," he reported, a note of eagerness in his voice. "Good," the leader replied. "Let them prepare. They'll need more than that to stop us." The human leader turned his gaze back to the stars, each one a future battlefield in the war to come. There were empires out there that believed themselves untouchable. civilizations that had dominated the galaxy for millennia, untouched by the brutality of true warfare. They had grown soft, complacent, thinking the apex predators were gone forever. But humanity had returned, and they were stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than ever. The galaxy is full of prey, the leader muttered to himself. It's time they remembered what it means to fear. Behind him, his soldiers prepared for their next move. Ships were readied, weapons polished. Their next strike would not be subtle. This time, they would come in force, striking deep into the heart of an unsuspecting empire. This planet was only the first step. There were entire systems ripe for conquest, each one more vulnerable than the last. As the last preparations were made, the leader turned to his people. "We are not just fighting to survive," he said, his voice steady and commanding. "We are fighting to reclaim what is ours. We are the predators of this galaxy, and no empire, no species, will stand in our way." With that, the order was given. The ships began to rise, engines roaring to life. The hunt, once a quiet, calculated affair, was about to escalate into something much more. The stars awaited them, and with every strike, the galaxy would tremble. The humans had returned, and this time they would not be forgotten. The story ended on a cliffhanger, the vastness of space stretching out before them, filled with prey that had yet to realize the true nature of their hunters.